Hey everyone, this is Curb and I bring you another standard match from our standard tourney at our locals. On the left, we actually have Jimmy piloting his Minerva deck once again, and on the right, we have my teammate Ryuki playing Joshua's Drajeweled deck. Anyways, just getting into the game, we are actually going to be seeing Drajeweled going first. Minerva riding up and actually calling down a Cider to boost the Melissa, getting that 1 damage in. Looks like it was a draw trigger. For going to Drajeweled, we are going to be calling out that Jewel Core, actually calling the Rising Dragon and using its skill to put another Rising Dragon into the soul. Honestly, that's kind of a new tech. Rising Dragon doesn't do anything else in the deck. It's literally just a nice filter. Pretty much just a grade 2 Time Jarrett in this deck. But I think it's actually pretty good, as we're going to be seeing in this deck. Anyways, looks like we're going to be swinging the Rising Dragon. It's going to be taken. No trigger. Swing the Vanguard, 15k OT to break. Actually hitting a critical trigger and passing it to the Jewel Needle, which is going to be swinging for a 23. And that is just going to be taken. So Minerva is going to be going into grade 2, actually already at 3 damage. Riding into that chamomile, looks like we're actually going to be hitting a not painkiller. Is that painkiller? No, it's not. Drilling Angel, as well as the Minerva. If you remember from the last video I featured Jimmy in, getting that Minerva in is really crucial, because that means that once you get into your first grade 3 turn, you will actually be getting that extra 5k. Now, it is a little unfortunate that you aren't going first, because that 5k definitely matters a lot more when you go first. But you know, it is what it is. Going into the Carberry, once again, I finally figured out the name of this card. Actually going to be calling another Carberry. I'm not using the skill, I believe. I don't remember if it's an only from hand, but either way, we're just not going to be triggering it, because I think we'd rather spend our CB on other things, and also we want to keep things like the Melissa in soul, as well as the Minerva. So it looks like we're just going to be swinging with the Carberry, taking the first damage, no trigger. Swinging with the chamomile for 18, just going to be taking it. And it looks like we are going to be hitting OT, so giving 100 million to the Vanguard, as well as just 100 million. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, the Carberry is going to be swinging at that Rising Dragon, because obviously it can't hit. Just going to be guarding that. Probably just want to keep it around to be an attacker for this next coming turn, because you are riding into the grade 3, and you're obviously going to have a whole bunch of pressure just going into this turn, because you should be able to just hit that 4 different grades. Calling out a pair of Phallicates, one for the Rising, one for the Vanguard. Yeah, and looks like we're calling out a Guggenram, which is going to be soul charging 1. And then looks like we're going to use that Drajewel skill to soul charge. Unfortunately, a critical trigger and a heal trigger. Which is unfortunate, but you know, it is how it is, you know. Looks like we're gonna be swinging with the Drajewel first, because we don't. Oh no, we're actually using Guggenram skill, excuse me, to Soul Blast 3 and draw a card, just Soul Blasting a lot of those extra cards that we have in the soul. Moving the Guggenram back, calling out another Rising Dragon, actually, to put that grade 3 that I believe we needed in soul and draw the card. So swing with the Drajeweled first, using the skill to Soul Blast 4 cards, and I believe we're trying to use Phallicate's skill here, but I don't think that actually is supposed to be working, because I believe boost happens before actually Drajewel's skill. So it looks like we're gonna be hitting a heal trigger, but we are only at 3 damage, as opposed, or yeah, I think we're at 2 because we got the OT. So we're not going to be healing off that. I'm going to be swinging the Rising Dragon, double intercepting and a 10k guard in order to guard that, and then just taking the last attack. So if you're Minerva here, you're feeling really bad. You're barely going into grade 3 and you're already at 5. Not really a great situation, especially with that check. I believe that was 4 triggers and a chamomile. Chamomile is good, but you really definitely would want to have extra soul in this situation. However, you are, once again, in a really bad spot. So I think the goal for Minerva here is to basically just like kind of push as much as you can. There might be like reason to damage deny. You could probably just maybe swing at rears, maybe don't do a full combo, just not do as many attacks as you probably could, and just like I don't know, just kind of bide your time. Like maybe try and find those heals, just get triggers, because Drajeweled player I believe only has one open CB, and normally the damage denying Drajeweled doesn't really do too much because they only need like 1 or 2 CB a turn. But by damage denying, you're basically just limiting their ability to use Rakugoras. Because if they have 1 CB, they can restand 1, and if they have 2, they can restand 2. We already have the Phallicate, so Drajeweld's skill to counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 2 doesn't really matter too much. I don't think you really need it to hit your 4 different grades again, but you know. Anyways, getting back to the Minerva player, looks like we're just going to be swinging the Chamomile after setting up that board, swinging the Carberry with unboosted for another 15, which is going to take out both the intercepts, and then we're going to be swinging that Minerva for a nice 28, drive checking a critical trigger and a drilling angel, deciding to give the critical to the Vanguard, and I believe he decided on the power to the Vanguard. So looks like we're going to hit 2 blanks, I believe, and then using that Minerva's skill, so you Soul Blast 1, Counterblast 1, and then actually Counterblasting 2 to call out 2 Chamomiles from the Soul, as well as bouncing the Cider to hand, and then discarding it for Minerva's cost. Looks like we're going to keep up the attacks going, swinging for 15. Looks like we're actually just trying to push for game right now, which, as I mentioned earlier, might not have been the best play because you're giving him a lot of CB. Now he has, I think it's like 4 open. Going to be PGing that second Vanguard swing, swinging for 23, and that's just going to be blocked by a 28. So now you're going into this turn, and it just keeps getting worse as we see a Chalice coming on down, giving us that Persona Ride, and another Swirler. So Soul Charging that 1, Counterblasting 1, and Soul Charging 2 more. I suppose that's another reason that damage 9 could have been good, especially since we see the double Rakigora come out. So I would say this game is honestly probably over here. This is like 5 attacks, and you're going to be at 1 for most of them. So honestly, you kind of just have to bank on a heal, and we're not going to see it. So that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.